Hello, everyone. This is the Concord University Athletics Alumni at Work interview series. My name is Wes McKinney. Brian Foster will join us here in just a moment, but it has been a little while. I think we go back to December of 2020, the last time we did one of these, but I'm looking very much forward to jumping back into this. Brian, a native of the Hoosier State, Indiana, played for 2 years here at Concord men's basketball. Played under head coach Steve Cox from 2005 through 2007. Brian, first off, my man, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. We're right here in the thick of March Madness. We record on Friday of the first round of the NCAA tournament. We got three teams from the state of Indiana still. Well, I guess Indiana's been eliminated, but we still got Notre Dame and Purdue still in it. I got to ask you, as a guy from the state of Indiana, who is your team this time of year?
Well, if this was football, it would be Notre Dame, but I got to go with Purdue. I got to go with Purdue. They just got, I actually got a guy that went to the high school that, my daughter plays at and I coach at right now. And Jaden Ivey, which is, supposed to be a lottery pick. So I got to go with Purdue, man.
Very cool. Very cool. That's awesome. I did not realize that Ivey was an Indiana guy, but yeah, I've watched him some this year, and the dude can flat out get to the rim at any point, right?
Oh, man, he's ridiculous. Like, I will open up the gym this summer, man, and he's just different, man. I haven't seen too many players ever like him, and it's the reason, one of the reasons why Purdue is where they are right now. So
yeah, Coach Painter's done an unbelievable job. I've actually been a bit of a closet Purdue fan my entire career. I remember when I was I guess maybe in high school, turning on the TV one day and I saw Robbie Hummel playing. I thought that Robbie Hummel was like the best thing ever to ever hit the hardwood there for the Boilermakers. But enough on that here. I want to jump in to your career here at Concord. You played for 2 years, as I mentioned, went the junior college route. Coach Cox finds you from the state of Indiana. He already had some connections. I'm going to let you talk about those previous relationships that he had with other players. Just talk to me here about the first time that you get a call and it says Steve Cox on the caller ID.
Yeah, man. So what happened was I was originally gonna go somewhere else, and I had played in the same conference as some of the other Concord players. Lewis Muse, that was a great player at Concord. I actually roomed with him at Glen Oaks, one of the junior colleges that I went to, and then I played against Tyrone Anderson, which was Tyrone was there at that point, and I had a relationship with Tyrone, had a relationship with Lewis. And had conversations, man, and they connected with Coach Cox. With me already having a relationship, I thought it was a good fit. He hit me up on the phone. He was like, "Hey, we can get you down here, get you on the train," and that happened, man. So got on the train, and the train took me to Hinton, West Virginia, which, is just a little bit of nothing. I don't know. And got out of there, and Coach Johnson was there to pick me up in his black truck.
Over your 2 years here at Concord, 50 games played, 42 career starts. You shoot 47%, just under 48% for your career from the field, 41 from three-point range. You're an 81% free throw shooter, 850 points, 858 points to be exact. That's 17.2 per game for your career. You averaged 14 your junior year, but it felt like maybe it took you a little while to get adjusted to the college game. I know talking to Coach Cox, to Coach May, the men's coach, to Coach Osborne, the women's coach, they always say a junior college player needs about a half of a season, maybe 3/4 of a season to kind of get adjusted to Division I, Division II, whatever it may be. So what was that kind of that transition period, kind of just getting a comfort level to the game like?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a challenge. just jumping in because I actually jumped in the second half of the season, even though they only had to play 5 games, I believe, or something like that in the first half. But trying to just learning the players, learning the plays, learning the coach. So it took a little, time for me to adjust. And even it was a more physical, it was a little bit more faster, um, and just adjusting in that way took a little time. But once I kind of like figured out a little bit how to maneuver through it, it started working well.
Your junior year line, not too shabby, as I mentioned, 14 points per game, 37.5% from 3-point range, 46% from the field. But man, things really took off from you, or I'm sorry, things really took off for you as a senior. You play in 30 games, start 29 of them. You shoot just a mind-blowing 43% from 3-point range. And it's not like you were like 10 of 25 or something, 94 of 218 from 3-point range. That ranks in terms of makes 8th most in a single season at Concord, 43%, 48 from the field. You go from 14 points per game to 19.3 points per game. What changed for you from year 1 to year 2?
I just believe comfort and confidence. Understanding what Coach Cox wanted, understanding my teammates, and me putting in a bunch of work, building confidence throughout the summer. Because in junior college, I was a big time scorer. I averaged like 26 a game, and going from that to jumping right into something, averaging 14, and mentally, preparing myself to have a good off season, which, training and lifting weights, and then building that relationship with my players and the coaches really is what changed it. And just having that feel too, like he said, takes a half a season. And that's pretty much what I had, was a half a season to get that feel of that Division II NCAA game.
You had played against Tyrone on the junior college circuit. You knew that he was a primetime player, much like yourself at that point. Was there a little bit of maybe you guys trying to work together because you guys played at the same exact time here at Concord? Did you guys do, do you guys kind of have a filling out process and trying to figure out, who was going to get the ball when?
No, well, before I got there, it was more of, we could do something special. Like, we were both great players. We both were top players in our conference in junior college. And, before I got there, he was averaging like 26 points a game. I'm 25, 24 points a game. And I'm like, man, we can do something, because I know what I can bring to the table, and he's bringing that to the table. But when I got there, the offense was pretty much surrounded around him, because he is a great player, and he scored easily. Coach Cox had a lot of good plays set up for him. So just figuring out how to play around him and pick my spots was what led to, some of the success that we did have.
Your first year here at Concord, the Mountain Lions go 16-12. They get knocked out in the quarterfinal round of the conference tournament. You personally averaged that year 14 points per game. You only played in 20 contests that year, but you averaged 14 points per game, shoot 37% from 3-point range, 46 from the field. You shoot 81% from the free throw line. You mentioned everything was kind of targeted towards Tyrone. You kind of had to maybe play off of him, I guess you could say. But then you make an unbelievable jump, at least in terms of shooting the ball. You average 5 more points per game as a senior, 48% overall, 43% from 3-point range. Was there more work put in from your junior to your senior year, or was it maybe just a case of knowing that Tyrone had left Concord? You knew that you had to step up your game?
Yeah, well, see, so my senior year, Tyrone was still there. So Tyrone still played.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, Tyrone was still there. I think it was more of knowing my role, because I had left, the year before when I first had got there. I pretty much just jumped in the second half of the season. I came in January, and I was trying to figure everything out. I came from being that number one guy, going to a team with the full of great players. Um, so I had to figure out my role, and I figured, once we ended the season, we pretty much figured out what everyone's role was, and all the attention that Tyrone was actually getting because he had such a great year the year before. It left me open, and I knocked down a lot of easy shots.
At the time you were here, the conference was unbelievable. West Virginia State and Coach Poor had really good teams.
Yeah.
Coach Zimmerman at AB, they were really good. You guys actually were knocked out of the conference tournament your senior year against Alderson Broadus. Fairmont State maybe wasn't what they are now. West Liberty had just really started putting some things in motion with Coach Crutchfield. To average 19 points a game and not be all conference just almost seems silly to me. I mean, there's guys now that, get all conference that maybe average 15 or 16 a game. So just kind of put in perspective how good the conference was then.
Yeah, the conference was, man, it was loaded. We had Tyrone. We had the guy, Ted Scott. I remember him from West Virginia State was, I feel like I was the best shooter in the conference, but then, I met him and we played them. We were going back and forth, So, having guys like that, that I feel like, that whole core group were really Division I guys. We were just playing Division II and battling against each other. Shane Manor from Liberty and McDuffie from Liberty as well. I mean, the conference was just loaded with a bunch of players. So, when they do the votings, obviously a lot of that stuff is politics. And with us having Tyrone, I figured he was make first team. I thought I had a shot at making first team as well, but I did not. But it was loaded. It was a lot of good players.
Yeah, sure. And just to kind of finish up, maybe the point on your senior year was there an adjustment that you made? And I know you talk about finding your role more as a senior, but did you just feel more comfortable in the offense? Did you? Did you just put in a ton of work there from your junior to your senior year?
Yes, I made sure that I put in a lot of work. I started doing other things. I worked on my body. I started eating better, and I knew we had a good shot to make a good run, because I think we had, even though we got put out in the semifinals to AB, I think we had the most talented team out there. But we just fell short at the end. So putting in the time in the gym, extra hours, putting up shots between my junior and that comfort, that comfort came there. Me being more of a vocal leader and having more confidence with where I was at Concord, played a big part in that.
I think that every Concord alumni, Tyrone, whether it be a regular student, an athlete, they have one kind of maybe a Concord memory or a time at Concord that really sticks out in their mind. Obviously, you guys had a lot of success on the basketball court during your 2-year run here at Concord. Is there a time frame during your career that kind of maybe sticks out a little bit more than others?
Besides off the court, probably the bus rides. The bus rides to the wherever we were going for that day, man. We had in the locker room, we had a lot of fun, just joking and laughing and just enjoying the moment, man. I think those times I remember the most because I still talk to Tyrone and those guys till this day. We laugh and we joke about how much fun we had, but as far as offside the court, yeah, that. And then my freshman year, not freshman, but junior year, my first year there, playing against and beating, I think, is West Liberty. They were one of the top teams. And, I actually passed Kent McBride, Coach McBride, the game-winning pass, and he hit the three, and the crowd went crazy, man. It was one of my, best moments as a player, and being in the atmosphere where it was extremely awesome, man. So for sure.
And then I actually want to rewind here a little bit. You talk about you take the train down from South Bend to Hinton. Obviously, South Bend is a very urban area. You know, I mean, you could call it kind of suburban Chicago if you wanted to. You you said you had a really good visit here to Concord. It went really well. You knew this was the place for you, but you go from South Bend, Indiana
Hmm.
to Hinton, West Virginia. You get off the train and you think what?
Where am I at? I mean, yeah, I come from South Bend and I come here and I get off the train. I forgot, I think Coach Johnson at the time, he picked me
Uh,
up, had his black truck, I believe, and you know, he has his old country accent and West Virginia accent, and I'm like, wow. And then I get there and you know, everything is swervy. You know, no road is straight. I'm like, man, I can't. You know, I gotta focus when I'm driving now. You know, um, yeah. Then you know, Princeton and Bluefield and stuff. I had to figure it out, man. But it was a big, definitely a big change.
All right, so your basketball career comes to a close there, as we talked about, semifinals conference tournament, March of 2007. What you're doing now with youth, with trying to prevent opioid use, prevent addiction to painkillers and the like. When was it you kind of decided that, hey, I want to do something like this?
Yeah. Well, I knew my passion was kids as I was, you know, younger. I always was involved as far as like just being around the kids in the neighborhood and stuff like that. And then I had kids myself. So I originally, my major was communications, which was visual communications and radio and TV. And I started doing that. But I wanted to be connected to the game because I love the game so much, and I wanted to be around my kids, and I was missing out on a lot of that. So I actually changed it up a little bit, and I started coaching. I started coaching, and then you know this teaching position opened up, which I had very first job was working with autistic kids,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that, this education position opened up to where I can do prevention, you know, of the opioids, suicide prevention, stuff like that, and I've been doing that for the last 7 years. But kids have always been my passion. And whenever that had opened, me being able to um, just connect with a lot of different kids on different levels of that, I thought it was awesome and it's good for me.
Yeah, does it, I mean, I don't know exactly what the culture is like per se in South Bend where you are, but obviously the opioid crisis, the addiction, uh, hits home to a lot of people of West Virginia, and it has for several years now. It's, you know, I think some people, while COVID has been, you know, obviously debilitating, has obviously been awful for a lot of people. The opioid has kind of been uh, overshadowed. Is that something that throughout time you just kind of brought to light more and more?
Yeah, definitely, man. Because um, the more the more I teach, the more I learn. I mean, the more I see that it is a crisis, that it's not just happening in our state, and you know, obviously West Virginia. You know, the numbers are really high, and just bringing that awareness because people don't know, and a lot of people don't know about addiction. And I feel like what I have to offer as being a coach, being a mentor, being a training, being involved in youth sports, you know, these kids see me on the court playing with them, and then I'm that same guy that's spreading that knowledge of awareness of these addiction to be able to help them out. Man, I think it's huge and um, great for the community.
I'm sure that you see kids from different walks of life every single day. You encounter different kids every single day here. Just kind of talk to me about these kids having a place to go, having kind of a safe haven to get away from just all the troubles that our world is involved in today.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it means a lot, man. You know, I recently posted something on social media where it talks about how, you know, women or girls that are involved in high school sports, you know, are like 70% chance of not to get pregnant and all this other stuff. So just knowing that they have a safe place to go to, boys or girls, to be able to, play a game and be a part of something that's positive. Um, Being part of something that's positive means everything to me, because there are a lot of places where kids nowadays, especially, are not safe. You hear so many stories that goes on and on, but definitely.
Yeah. Now, not only are you involved in the game of basketball heavily still, but you also juggle, on top of everything else here, you also juggle coaching track and cross country. Kind of, are there some skills that you can kind of translate over from the hardwood to the track?
Yeah, definitely. Just with me being a coach in general, and me being an educator, um, motivating, be because a lot of times you have coaches that may be good at showing something, but you have to be able to motivate as well to get the best out of someone. So I feel like that's one of the best assets I do have, is being able to encourage someone to be their best. And with being a basketball coach, you having that type of drive with your players, you can integrate that into the track field or the cross country. Obviously, my daughter, she was a cross country runner. What we actually just ran, we ran actually a 5K one time, and she was really good. And once I found out she was good, like, well, you know what, we should do this too. And we started doing this and that, that was my drive to start coaching cross country, because she was running, and I already was a coach, and I was able to get other kids motivated to do it, and turned out to be pretty good. So now I start coaching, I've been coaching cross country for 9 years ever since, and track. So yeah.
Now that you mentioned your daughter, and I don't want to mess her name up, is it Nevaeh?
Nevaeh.
No, I'm sorry, Nevaeh. So now that you've mentioned her, I think that's a good kind of place to kind of enter her into the picture. She has had an outstanding high school career. She's gotten a lot of Division I attention. Just kind of talk to me about that.
Yeah, man. So she's a worker, man. She has put in so much time in the gym, and everything she does obviously is deserved. But she, started at a young age. Um, Me personally, when I was around her age, I did it on my own. I stayed outside, I shot to get better. I didn't have any trainer, but she was able to have me, pretty much just guide her and bring her to workouts and show her how to get better and show her how to be disciplined, and have that work ethic, right? And if you don't have a good work ethic, you're not gonna be great. But she's been putting in work for hours, for years, ever since third grade, I believe she started playing, and um, ever since then, man, it's been uphill from there.
How fun has it been, Brian, just as a parent, just to, see all the attention she's getting, but just to go to these different campuses, different camps you guys have been on and around? How fun has that been?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's unbelievable, honestly. Like, because obviously I went to a smaller school, and just knowing how incredible, and big these arenas are, and going into campus and seeing how much love you get, and just knowing that your child, someone that you've seen grind from the ground up, is a part of that process. Talking to college coaches, my phone would just blow up. I mean, I still to this day, I probably got 70, 80 Division I college coaches in my phone, that I was connected to on a regular basis, man. And just knowing that, that you are wanted, that put in a lot of work to be able to have that success. I can't describe it. I know I went down to a couple colleges, and I was just wow, like, man, this could be you. This is where you could possibly be. And I remember just driving back from some of those trips, like, man, you know. Um, but at the end of the day, she did commit, to the place that she thought it was best for her. So I'm happy and proud.
Yeah, talk to me about some of the bells and whistles you've seen. All these Division I schools rolling out the carpet for her, I'm sure, and you know how things have changed. You get picked up by Coach Johnson in a black Ford F-150 at the train station in Hinton, and
Right.
she gets the 5-star treatment, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's crazy. Like, yeah, like you said, I get the train and she gets everything else, you know. Just I mean, even during COVID, so her recruiting was a little bit different towards the end of it before we made the commitment. But like even during COVID, I mean, like they were taking us on tour over the phone,
Mhm.
like University of West Virginia. I believe the West Virginia coach just quit.
Yeah, yeah, he
Um,
just retired, correct? Yeah,
Retired recently, yes. But he actually coached in this conference in the Mountain East before it was the Mountain East
yeah,
for Salem, right? Went to
yeah, yeah,
Salem.
yeah. Mhm.
Yep. So we've had that conversation, and just the whole nine of that process too. And I'm thinking, oh, West Virginia, maybe that may be what you want to do. I was hinting her towards that way at one moment, you know, um, and just the process they did with the Zoom calls and everything else was crazy. Um, but yeah, it's night and day between the recruitment between me and her, for sure, man. Because I know when I was getting recruited out of junior college, I had a bunch of Division II schools. I had a couple of Division I that was looking at me, but they didn't roll out the red carpet with me.
I kind of want to circle back around here because I think it's extremely important to touch on this. I went back and thought about it, kind of the path, the trail that you and Tyrone and Lewis and those guys from 15 or so years ago, just the kind of the path they blazed here at Concord. It feels like they changed the course of Concord men's basketball. You guys play here. You guys play with Kent McBride for a year or so there. He obviously becomes the head coach. Your relationship with Kent turns into Concord being able to recruit Rob Reed, who turns into an all-region player, and just feels like the last 15 or so years of Concord men's basketball in some way can be traced back to Tyrone Anderson and Brian Foster. Have you thought about it in that light before?
Um, I really haven't, but I mean, now that you speak it up, yeah. I mean, it's crazy because, like you said, you got Tyrone and me and myself, and then um, you got I connected Kent with Rob. I would hit Kent up all the time, like, hey, it's a dude that you need, man. He will be an all conference play. He's a Division I guy. He will shock the conference, And by Kent, trusting me, he took my word, and Rob went there and was amazing. And then not only there, I talked to the coach now, Coach May. I was like, hey, you got JR. I was like, hey, he can shoot the beans out the ball, man. And JR went down there and he had I think he played 1 year there.
Yep, correct.
Yep. And then he, ended up transferring. But yeah, man, when you think about that is pretty awesome that, we got kids from our area that's able to, continue their education, and get a degree or whatnot, and still be able to play basketball at a high level at a place that we actually went to.
Yeah. What is your relationship like with Rob? Because I know whenever I did an interview similar to this with him, I guess it was October or maybe November of 2020, he spoke very highly of you, that he had connected with you at a fairly young age there. I guess maybe he was in middle school. So what's your relationship been like with Rob?
Man, me and we've always been really cool, man. Like I was just with him yesterday. Um, we was at the gym with our kids or whatnot. My son was actually working out, and his son was too. But me and Rob both went to a place called Heroes Camp. As a father mentoring program. We talked about worshiping the Lord and stuff like that, and we had connected there for years. And I watched Rob actually develop as a player, as a person, from not being good at all to all of a sudden he just is tough to handle. And then by the time that I ended my career, that it was at Concord, me coming back home, and he was just a handful to deal with. And I'm like, Kent, you got to get this dude. He can shoot like me or better than me or as good as me. And he's athletic. Like, so we've never had any bad altercation, man. It's always been love. We've been, brothers through this whole time. And I'm happy that I was able to help him get down to Concord.
How does it, and I should have gone back and asked this question before, but you talk about how Rob's game really translated to this conference. I know that the junior college conference that you played in, Tyrone, Rob, Lewis, all those guys played in, is extremely competitive. Jair Rogers thrown into that group. It's a really competitive conference. How does that league kind of translate to the Mountain East? Is it a lot, or Mountain East now, but the West Virginia Conference then? Is it a lot of up and down, a lot of just kind of wide open offense, or is it something that is completely night and day?
It's a lot of up and down. It's a lot of up and down. Depending on the teams. Tyrone, them, they played on the team where they had a lot of firepower at Glen Oaks, and then same here at when I went to Ancilla. So there's a lot of movement, a lot of scoring, some high scoring games. They let the players just play. And I knew Rob was going to be able to fit because it fit well with me. And that's pretty much the type of offense Coach Cox ran. He had his sets and he had his plays, but he let players play, and Kent was pretty much doing the same thing. So it's for guards. I believe that, a player like myself, a player like Rod, a player like Ted Scott, that I will always remember because he could just shoot it so good, man. Conference like that it can benefit a player like us.
I got to ask you this. There's also been, under Coach Cox, Coach McBride, now Coach May, there's always been a tradition of guys going overseas and playing. Tyrone was maybe a little bit of the leader in that, but was there any kind of looks for you coming out of college?
Yes. So I actually got looks to both play overseas right out of Concord. Matter of fact, it was me and Tyrone. There was an email a guy sent, but I actually had my daughter at the time. So I chose to not go that route. I actually just got a job and, continue to support my family or whatnot. But yes, I had, not only that, I had like schools in Canada, because in Canada you can play 5 years of college ball. Mm-hmm. So they were offering me to go out to Canada to play and get an extra year, and but I didn't do that. I ended up playing in the ABA too. We had a semi-pro team locally. I played on that team for a couple of years, and I took that route. But my goal wasn't necessarily to play overseas, which it would have been nice because I think I could have had a successful career.
All right. We talked about your daughter. She's going to go to Western Kentucky and play Division I basketball. I got to ask you two more things here. How about your son? What's the outlook like for him?
He's on his way. He's on his way, man. He's putting in a lot of time. I mean, I don't get home every night till about 10, 11 o'clock.
And he's how old again? Remind me.
He's in 8th grade. He's 14 years old. Yeah. He's putting in the work. He's on his way as well, man. My goal is to have them both there. So if I can get both of them at the same school at the same time, and I don't have to, split it up, because they spend 1 year next year in high school together. That'd be awesome for a father. So he's on his way. He can play. They actually won the city championship this year. He's one of the top scorers. Yeah. Top rebounders and scorers as a guard, man. He continues to get better, and I'm excited about his process.
Actually, I've got two more things now for you. I wanted to touch on Indiana high school basketball. It is like the Mecca. I mean, maybe other than Kentucky, it is the Mecca of high school basketball. What are the atmospheres and the crowds like on a nightly basis in some of those old barns of Indiana? Oh,
it's crazy. It's ridiculous, man. Just recently, our sectional game, our boys sectional, I mean, it was wall to wall. It was sold out before the game even started. I mean, and the way that place just rocked in there, you're not going to get that everywhere else. Indiana basketball is just something different, man. You gotta be a part of it. You gotta be, in the gym and the atmosphere to be able to witness something like that. I mean, they didn't make the movie Users for no reason.
That's a good point. That's a that's a really good point. Brian, last thing for you here, and I really do appreciate your time today. It's been fun catching up here.
I appreciate it.
So it's coming about that time. Are there any future mountain lions out there that you can send down towards Athens for us?
It is. There is one. Actually, I talked to Coach May maybe about a month ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, about one of the guys. There is a future mountain lion out there that's actually playing for the same college that I went to. So, he again. What I told Coach is a all conference player. He's the first team all conference player. So he don't want to sleep on him. He doesn't want to sleep on him.
Good deal. Well, Brian, hey man, I appreciate your time here. And we look forward to what your daughter does, what your son's going to do in high school as he begins his career. And we'll definitely be following to see if we can get some mountain lions in the building from the great state of Indiana.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it all.
Once again, Brian Foster on the Athletic Alumni at Work interview series. We will be talking to someone else coming up here in just a short time. Thank you all for watching and listening today.